Wolves is a new Apple TV Plus original that comes to us from director Jon Watts, who you may know from the recent Spider-Man trilogy. He hasn't really made much else. It's a buddy cop comedy starring Brad Pitt and George Clooney, but instead of cops, these two characters are cleanup guys, or fixers, whatever you want to call them. It's Mr. and Mr. Smith, if you will. I can't take credit for that because I didn't come up with it, but it's pretty accurate. So the movie opens with Amy Ryan as a Manhattan DA. She's standing over the supposedly dead body of a 20-something guy that she was promiscuously involved with in this hotel room. Instead of calling Mike Ehrmantraut to clean up the mess, she calls George Clooney, who promptly arrives, assesses the situation, and begins his cleanup. Only moments later, there's a knock at the door, and what do you know? It's Brad Pitt. And he was sent by the hotel owner, who has her own agenda. He was also sent to clean up this mess. After a heated discussion, all parties agree that the best thing to do is to have these two fixers work together, much to their dismay. After all, they are lone wolves, not wolves. They don't work in pairs. The first 30 minutes of this movie are a lot of fun because it's mostly just Pitt and Clooney going after each other. The banter is fun, it's funny. There's a lot of aging jokes. They clearly don't trust each other. And as the audience, we don't know if we can trust either of them to keep their word against each other as well. Clooney and Pitt have a ton of chemistry together on screen as well. It's a lot of fun to see them reliving their Ocean's 11 days. Unfortunately, I feel that as the movie goes along, it loses a lot of steam. Pitt and Clooney were already kind of carrying the story, but they start to feel bored as it goes along. It starts to bring in a bunch more different elements. There are mobsters. The supposedly dead body in the trunk of their car turns out to be not so dead. And these added elements don't add much flavor. Instead, they just add boredom. There's a chase sequence in the middle that goes on for way too long. There's hardly any real action, any shootouts. I've seen people say this is an action flick. It's not. The jokes are hit or miss. Some of them are actually really funny. For instance, when they're interrogating this kid when they discover he's still alive, he over-explains everything, which frustrates both of the characters to no end. It's almost like a moment of bonding for them. And the ending is a complete tease. It feels like it leaves us on a note where I wanted more. I wanted to see what happens after the credits roll, and it robs us of that. And ultimately, it feels like it was written for these two leads rather than there being two parts, and Brad Pitt and George Clooney just turned out to be the best actors for the role. Because without them, I don't think I would have very many positive things to say about this film. And I think Jon Watts is just really uninspired as a director. How did this guy get control of a billion-dollar franchise, considering he made nothing really before Spider-Man Homecoming? Granted, I like his Spider-Man movies, but those have other compelling things behind them, such as great characters, funny humor, good casting, big bombastic special effects. This film is just extremely average. It's mildly amusing at points, but it's not something I would recommend going out of your way to watch. I was folding laundry during the second half, and honestly, I think I would be pretty bored if I didn't have something else to work on while watching it. So I'm giving Wolves 2.5 stars. If you happen to have an Apple TV subscription and you watch Wolves, let me know what you think of it down in the comments. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe while you're at it if you want to see more content like this, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.